Naivasha is home to giant flower companies, a multi-billion shillings subsector that has earned Kenya a global name as one of the best rose-growing and exporting countries. But the sector is now troubled in a disturbed town. The last 3 years have been gloomy, following successive shutdowns or scaling down of workers in the flower farms, rendering over 6,000 workers jobless. At the heart of a trouble rocking the flower farms are concerns that tax rates in Kenya are too punitive to flower farmers, forcing some of them to relocate.
These guys use a lot of diesel. It is heavily taxed. These guys use a lot of chemicals. They are heavily taxed. These people also bring in some expatriates. They are heavily taxed. So everything. And the government yet is not even giving a waiver.
Government accused of failing to salvage the situation and give tax incentives among other measures, as well as policy directives that would make investments in floriculture lucrative. The biggest shocker was the shutdown of a Karuturi flower farm back in 2016. Karuturi had started experiencing turbulence in 2013, unable to pay its workers and remitting statutory deductions. Banks such as CFC Stanbic Bank were breathing fire on the managers' necks over a debt that had hit 340 million shillings in 2014. After successive strikes by its workers blocking the management from accessing their offices, a High Court ruling would allow receiver managers to take charge and try to revive the fortunes of a flower farm. Before its fortunes started dwindling, Karuturi was perhaps the biggest flower farm in the world, harvesting 6.5 million flower stems on a daily basis. In March this year, the court granted CFC Stanbic the go-ahead to auction Karuturi's assets over an accumulated debt of 1.8 billion shillings.
Sisi pia wakati walikuwa wanataka kuwa receiver managers wakitaka kuchukua hiyo shamba, tulikuwa na uwezo ya kuwapeleka mpaka kotini, tukawaregister as one of the great wenye wako na deni. So pia vile kunaendelea pia tunafanya follow up tujue kama kuna kitu yoyote itatokea. Unlike hii yenye tulikuwa tunaambiwa kwa wanataka ku-auction. Unajua wakisema maneno ya ku-auction pia sisi we are not for that. Tunajua ki-auction ni yule receiver manager ndiye atapata, receiver managers ndio watapata tu pesa yao.
And so today, the land on which the Karuturi flower farm sits on is bare. The only evidence of its past glory being remnants of polythene papers that used to be greenhouses hanging loosely, left to dance with the wind. Approximately 300 million shillings owed to workers as arrears and about 40 million as remittances to their sacco, sinking alongside with the source of their livelihood.
Kampuni haikutupea anything. Dues zote hazikupewa. So bado tunadai kampuni pesa mingi sana. Kama 200,000 mimi kama general worker, nilikuwa general worker like 200,000. Na sacco pia ilipotea na pesa. So hatuna anything kwenye tunaweza hata kurudi nyumbani imekuwa shida.
Sisi pia tunafuatilia kiwango kuwa lazima tuhakikishe wafanyikazi pia wako na deni. Na sasa kama watafanya hivyo au nao yao itapatikana namna gani?
And so, we seek to put faces to the stories of desperation that have now become all so common in a village dubbed DCK. Naivasha was the epicenter of a 2007-2008 post-election violence, with most of them just beginning to reconstruct their lives when the misfortune of a closure of Karuturi struck. Meet Mzee Musa Njine. 3 years later, the man is ailing, frail and jobless. His plea that his dues be paid so he can seek medical treatment has yielded nothing except frustration. It's an emotional interview that we have to keep disrupting because Mzee Musa is slowly losing his hearing abilities, yet his tears keep pricking his eyes owing to his experiences.
Sasa mimi naomba serikali inisaidie kwa sababu sina uwezo ingine yoyote ninaweza kufanya. Serikali tu baba yetu ajue.
Even government institutions have been frustrating him.
Miaka 10 imekwisha, na vile imekwisha, mimi ninaendanga huko Naivasha kuleta kadi na kadi sipati, na nikakuta kadi kwa mesa hanipati.
Mzee Musa, now fully dependent on his frail wife, who was also rendered jobless after the shutdown of a Karuturi flower farm. She has to do the back-breaking job of fetching for firewood that can only earn her a paltry 100 shillings a day. The 100 shillings is what caters for food, upkeep, and mzee's medication and routine medical checkups.
Nikikosa saa ingine madaktari wanakuja mpaka hapa kuniuliza mama ni nini, msije aenda hospitali. Nikosefu ya pesa. Sina ya kukula, ninahangaika, nisimamizwa kazi.
Wallowing in abject poverty, robbed of their rights, stripped of dignity, and denied the pleasures of living, their house has a testament of how things are.
Kwa hivyo naomba serikali ingilie katikati, nilipo pesa yangu niende. Kama hakuna bali kama wata nichukua, nikae niende kwangu. Bali nitaenda hata kama niende nitasaidiwa na watu huko mbele. Wata kuhangaikia hapa Naivasha. Sina samba.
But Mzee Musa's family is not the only family that has to deal with the shame in DCK village. Some have spent over 25 years in the village and are raising children in the same village. Housed by Karuturi, but now facing threats of eviction as banks rush to recover their money.
Hata sisi sasa mimi nikikwambia nitaenda wapi, hakuna mali nitaenda. Niko hapa. Kuanzia 78 mpaka sasa ni miaka ngapi? Nilikuja kama mimi msichana. Watoto wameoleka hapa.
Tuliwachwa kwa hii manyumba. Tumefanya hapa kazi, mimi nilikuja hapa nikiwa na miaka 21. Saa hii mimi ndio naelekea 44. Hakuna kitu. Uzee imenipata hapa. Ujana iliishia hapa.
CFC and its receivers have employed guards from the ranks of former workers whose sole mandate is to ensure that they never talk to journalists and that nobody films the remaining shell of what Karuturi Flower Farm is. From this crowd standing with us are guards angry with our filming, afraid of confronting us. The former workers are accusing Karuturi Flower Farm managers and the government of neglecting them.
Vile ilifungwa some 3 years ago, tuko tu hapa tunatafuta kazi, wengine wanafanya kazi za jua kali ili tu survive, watoto wapate kitu ya kukula na kwenda shule.
Wakuje watusaidie kwa njia mbili. Kama hakuna pesa ya kutulipa, hii shamba iko na mwenyewe, mwenye alikuwa ametuajiri, atukatie ka 50 by 100 ili tujisaidie na hako ka kitu. Kwa sababu pesa yetu inatosha hiyo 50 by 100.
The shutdown of Karuturi had ripple effects. Small-scale traders in the silent town have borne the brunt as broke customers kept away from their businesses.
Nilifutwa kimadharau lakini nikaachia Mungu. Na wakati kampuni ilikuja ikafungwa, nikawa locked out sasa. Kwa sababu hakuna sasa watu, hakuna watu wa kununua vitu. Ukileta vitu vinakaa hapo mpaka vinaoza unatupa.
With such closures rocking the boat and causing a leak in people's lives, other not so orthodox means of fending for self-creep. This is DCK town in the outskirts of Naivasha town, once a mushrooming urban center, but now a pale shadow of its former self following the closure of the Karuturi flower farms. The sun has already settled down, the rains have come. This means some families have to settle down for the night, but for others, work has just begun. The social ills of the night. Some have resorted to hitting the red streets of Naivasha as they seek to make ends meet. We are alerted of a popular street where most of them flock, and so we wait for darkness and we begin working. We have to film secretly. It's a dangerous job, but we have to get the pictures, our subjects unsuspecting. There's an upsurge of crime in Naivasha and the nearby villages such as DCK and Kimere, with locals attributing it to the joblessness occasioned by the shutdowns. The Kenya National Chamber of Commerce Nakuru Chapter Director Kamau Njuguna decries the economic loss that has hit Naivasha, with a loss of 6,000 jobs and impending closures by other flower farms.
And we are commanding about 75% of the total wildflowers. And out of that, 65 is coming from Naivasha. You can imagine how much that you're talking about. And you know, it trickles all the way. It's not about job loss. It's not about economy being lost. No. Look at the Kenya Power and Lightning, for example. How much power did they use to consume? Look at the revenue that we're paying to the government. How much revenue was that paying to the government?
Njuguna is hopeful that the government can still salvage the situation and get to the root of the rot in the floriculture subsector.
Look at health, for example. Yeah? Now, as we speak, that place is invaded by a lot of HIV and AIDS victims, because there is nobody who is taking care of them. They were just thrown out there on the streets. And what really kills me, coming from the Chamber of Commerce, is the distance of the government with the private sector.
What troubles us, though, is the secretive nature in which flower farm owners operate and the sizable chunk of economy that will be cut off if flower farms such as the prestigious Oserian farm and others follow the Karuturi path. The floriculture industry earns Kenya about 550 billion shillings. Over the last 3 years, that fact has been tested with the closure of several flower farms and the relief of workers from duty, about 6,000 of them. But one thing is for sure, the closure of flower farms such as Karuturi has left behind a trail of pain, depression and poverty. And if the government does nothing to salvage the situation, then there are yet another people who are waiting to be condemned to poverty. John Jacob Curia, Channel 1 News.